do their homework? Right? Okay. I'll be teaching high school. All right. So, what I asked you to do is really the first step in creating your own calendars. I asked you to go from Tafresh Samech Ima Tafresh Samech Gima, and I asked you to make this chart. So we'll do. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we'll go through a bunch of them. Shana says put Pshuta or Me'uberet, which is, we know how to do that. Tell me the Molad of Tishrei that year. Then I asked you to tell me the day of Rosh Hashanah and why. Okay, so let's start at Tafresh Samech Gimel. We'll go through a bunch of years and see how we did it. So, was Tafresh Samech Gimel a Pshuta or Me'uberet?
Pshuta.
Pshuta, why?
Second year of the cycle.
What?
Second year of the cycle.
Okay. So therefore, it's going to be Pshuta. What was the Molad?
517, 394.
Good. Okay. Yud Zayin Tashsad. Tashsad, right? Tashsad.
Yeah.
No, Shasad.
Why is it the second year of the cycle? It's the first year of the cycle.
First, actually, yeah. What? Who said? Who said?
I said second year of the cycle.
Second year. So let's just do that for a second. It's 5, 6, 6, 3, right?
You don't
No.
No minus
No,
one.
minus 1.
298 remainder 1.
Yeah. So that means it's the first year. I gave you a 19-year cycle. This is the first year. It's 298. If there was no remainder, it would be the 19th year. If it's remainder 1, it's the first year.
Huh? If there's no remainder, it's the 19th
Yeah.
year.
If no remainder, it's the last year.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So it's remainder 1. I gave you I started you at the beginning of that year. So it's a pshuta. So that means some of your years might be a little off, but okay. So it's Hey Yud Zayin Shased. And by the way, once you got this molad, you know where to go from here, right? You know, in other words, you could just add. You could just add if this was a pshuta to get the next year. What are you going to do? No, not even if this was a Me'uberet, what would you add? Good. Okay. So what day will Rosh Hashanah be?
I just go to the Hey Yud Zayin.
You want me to get there?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do it. You want to do it together? Sure.
Right.
All right. So,
Rabbi, can we do 1 year from A to Z together? 1 year.
What do you mean when you're not sure what that means?
One example.
She's doing that.
I'm doing it. Okay. 5, 6, 6, 2. Now we're gonna minus 1. Divide it into 19. What do I get?
Exactly 298.
What?
298, no remainder.
Good. So, this is pretty simple. What is so I'll start with what? I'll start with Bahrad. 25204. Okay? 25204. Then, this is not being taken. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. 25204.
On camera.
Now I have to be careful. Okay, 25204. Okay, now I want to get 200 mahzurim. What is that?
522, 200.
Good. Then I want to get 90.
41630.
41630. And then I want to get 8.
712, 440.
It's the same. Okay. Now, let's add it up.
1474.
1474. Is it 15?
14.
14. 1474. How many?
40.
40. 10,
18.
18. Good. Let's simplify.
394.
This is if you take out 1080, so you're at 394. You added 1, so you're at 41. Simplify, you take off 24, you're left with
17.
17. You add 1, so that gives you 19.
Take away
You
14.
remove 14, so
5.
that gives you 5. So you're at 5, 17, 394, or Hey Yud Zayin Shin Sadidad.
Oh, I skipped that step. I just went to the next year. That's right.
Okay?
Once you get one wrong.
No.
Now,
No.
again,
I didn't even start with. I started with Tersag.
this will be your new base. You don't have to do that process for every year.
Rabbi, that's Tersag, not Tersag.
Right, because you have to always subtract 1 to go back to
Subtract
the
one.
fictional
You
year.
always subtract 1 because you're not going for 5, 6, 6, 3 years. You're starting at the beginning of that year. So you're going 5, 6, 6, 2 years. You're doing the first molad of that year. Anytime when you're looking for molad, subtract the year you're in, divide it by 19, find out everything, and then just add the months. Here we didn't add any months because we're talking about the first month. We're talking about the molad of Tishri. Got it? So you always subtract the year. When you wanted to find the cycle, whether it's pshuta or not, that you don't subtract because that you want that year if it's a me'ubedet or not. But if you want the molad, you need to know how many yiturim came before the first day of that year or the third month of that year. So for sure you're not going through that year. Okay? All right. Now when would Rosh Hashanah be? Thursday. And there's no lama because it's obvious. Why? That's the day of the molad. Okay? Remember, if minus the 4 dihayot, Rosh Hashanah will always be on molad Tishrei. You don't have to work because there was some confusion. I'm going to go over this again. I'm going to do a little. Once we're doing this, I'm going to do a backtrack review for a short time of everything we've done until now. Because I've gotten a few confusing points, so I'm going to do a quick review from the first time till now for a short time. So that will might help somebody. Okay, but again, minus the 4 dihayot, the Rosh Hashanah will always be on Molad Tishri. Now, that's important because when I was explaining to you last time, I explained to you some of the logic of some of the dihayot. You don't have to figure out how many days in the previous year or how many days in the previous year. You don't have to figure that out. The Hakamim did that for you when they established these dihayot. I was going backwards for you and explaining to you why some of the dihayot work. Once you know these dihayot, you can always decide what day Rosh Hashanah is. It's all about these dihayot. You have a question?
Yeah, but when you find the molad in any day in that day without the dihayot, it could be the same day of the Rosh Hashanah. If there's no dihayot.
I just said that, right. If there's no dihayot, the Rosh Hashanah will always fall on
That
the
day,
molad
that,
of Tishri. Yes.
Rabbi,
it doesn't matter that let's say the molad is in the daytime. And
Makes no
Rosh
difference.
Hashanah you started.
It doesn't make a difference. That Thursday. The only thing would be is if this was instead of Yud Zayin Shin Sadidale, if this molad was 45 minutes later, it moves a day. Does everyone see why? It actually will move 2 days.
Molad Zakir.
Because lo adurosh.
It'll be a molad zaken. Remember, 40 minutes. That's all it would have taken for that molad to push Rosh Hashanah 2 days away.
But how come it doesn't get pushed up? Last year was Milberet. So then therefore, don't you have the
What?
other two
Because you
dihayot
can't have it
now?
on your
What
page.
dihayah applies?
What was the other two dihayot?
Tuesday or Wednesday.
No, lo adurosh and molad zaken.
Then what was okay?
Yeah, those only
Shh,
fall
guys.
on Tuesday
There's gatrad. Is this gatrad?
and Monday.
Oh, it has to be got, but it's got that or higher. Oh, on.
No, molad
Yeah,
zaken.
okay.
It's a molad
Not
zaken.
gatrad. It's not a molad zaken.
No, if it was 45 minutes later, it
It
would
would
be
be a
molad
molad
zaken.
zaken. Correct.
Right.
That's what
But
they
he
asked.
asked about the other dihayah. Is this gatrad?
No.
Is it batu takpat? No. So there is no dihayah. There is no reason to push off Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah was that year was on a
Thursday.
was on a Thursday. What about the next year? Let's do 1 or 2 more years.
So you add Shana Pshuta, you
So is this a year Shana Pshuta Me'oberet?
second year Pshuta.
Second year Pshuta. Okay. What am I going to do to find this Molad?
Add 48876.
Right, because this was a pay, so in order to find,
The 12
guys, ladies,
you have 2
seats here.
come in other words, okay, so, to find the next year's Molad, I could do one of two things. I could have gone back and found the Molad, the whole process again, and that's a valuable way sometimes to check. Or, I could simply add Tatu, because since that year was a Me'uberet, not this year, since that year was Pshuta, I go Tatu. So if I add Tatu to this, what will I get?
We'll get 32190.
32190.
Good. 3, 2, 190. Okay? Gab Chatz. Okay. When will Rosh Hashanah be?
Tuesday.
Yom Shlishi. There's no Dehiyot. Okay? Alright. The following year. Tafresh Samech He. Is that a Pshuta Me'oberet? Me'oberet. How am I going to find this? What am I going to add? No. No.
Yeah, because the second one was.
I'm going to add Tatu Rahim. Why am I not going to add Hakatakpa?
Because Tarsad.
I'm looking for the Molad of Tishrei. So I'm going from Tishrei to Tishrei. So I'm going from 12 months. The next year I'll add Hakatakpat. Okay? I was waiting for that mistake. I knew that was coming. So don't don't worry. So what will be the Molad? You want to do it together because there was a mistake. So I'm going to take 3, 2, 190, and I'm going to add Tatu. That's 4, 8, 7, 86, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I just reversed that. I apologize. You don't even think because you just got the numbers in your head. Okay. 876. Good. What is that? 1066. Good. We're just in there. 10 and 7. I'm going to take the 10. So we're going to now have. So when will the Molad be?
It's got to be 7. That's Shabbat.
7. Yud. And 1066 would be
1066.
Tat.
Resh.
Resh. Samech. Vav. Okay. When will Rosh Hashanah be?
Shabbat.
Rosh Hashanah will be Shabbat. And there's no Dehiyot. Okay. Let's move on 1 or 2 more years and then I'm going to do my little review. Now, by the way, you see how quickly you're going to make a calendar? Once you have 2 Rosh Hashanahs, the rest is pretty easy. I know this is Friday, I know that. Now, I know how many. We're very quickly going to put some formulas together now to figure out, well, is this a Shana? We know it's a Pshuta. We have to decide if it's Hased, Yater, or Hased, Hasera, Kisidra, or Mele'ah. You already know. How do you guess if it's Mele'ah? You know
How many
it's
days between 4 days?
Beged, Achab, right? So I didn't ask you to do this, but I'm going to do it with you. So how many days in between Thursday and Tuesday, not including the 2 days? Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
No, 4. Friday, Saturday, Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So what do I got?
Dalit. So you got
Dalit.
So it's Mele'ah.
So it's Mele'ah. Right now, pretty much, we can almost write a full calendar for Tafresh Samech Gimel on our own.
Yeah, we could have.
We know when Rosh Hashanah is. We know every Rosh Chodesh how many months there's going to be. So we're close to it. There's a few things that we need to do, but we're pretty close to deciding every Rosh Chodesh, then every holiday. You're close now to being able to write up your own yearly calendar for any average year. You're going to find the two Moladot, decide when Rosh Hashanah will be, and the rest of the work is in between, which you have a few details to fine-tune, and we're coming close to the point where you can guys write your own calendars.
So that year, Heshvan was the third day.
Correct. All right, let's go a little bit further. And by the way, you can do this on your own. Once you know the Beged Hakam rule in a Pshuta, right? Once you know that Beged Hakam rule in a Pshuta, you can take any Pshuta and figure it out, and then you're good. And so we're like I said, we're coming close. Da'u Hakam in a Me'uberet. Also, you got the same thing. Okay, so is this going to be a Me'uberet or a Pshuta? Good. How am I going to get the next one? Now I add Hakatakpa. Because this year was a Me'uberet. To find this one, okay, what is it?
670
plus 589.
What?
1066 plus 589.
Yeah, just give me the fine. Give me the Molad.
Vav Zayin 575.
67575.
You have 675?
It's what? 7?
67575.
That's what I said. 67575 is what I got.
561, no?
Okay. This is the Molad. 7, 6, 10, 66. You can add Haka, Takpa, right? Okay, let's do the math.
1655.
589.
All right.
You got
Okay. Subtract. Let's simplify. 1088.
1080 minus 1080 is
It's 710.
575.
It's a 10
What?
and 6.
575.
He rolled 6, but you have 10. Yeah, it's 710, not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
I read
that's what it was.
it.
It's a yod, it's not a vav, right?
I looked at my handwriting.
31.
31. Okay.
Anyway, minus 1080 is 575.
Yeah, he's right, 570.
And you add 132 minus 24.
The doctor's right, yeah.
Minus 24.
8.
8. Okay. Add 1, it's 13.
6.
And it's 6. So it becomes 6, 8, 575. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. Now, at 6, 8, so we'll call that Vav, Het, Tak. When is Rosh Hashanah? Why?
But it can't be Shabbat either.
Why not?
That's 7 days later or same day. I mean, what happens to
Don't worry about it. It'll work.
No, I bet it's at 16.
Well, this year. Okay, he's asking me. It's 7. How does this happen?
16 Malay.
It's Dahu Hakam. It's a Me'uberet, right?
Yes.
This year was a Me'uberet. So it's just a Malay.
And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
Friday.
The 6 days in between.
It will always work. If it wouldn't have worked, there would have been another Dihaya. So if there's no Dihaya, our Hakamim found the only cases that don't work and turned them into Dihayot.
Oh, I see.
So we don't have to worry about them being too many days. The rabbis did that work for us when they made this. Okay? All right.
How many dihiyot you can
Rabbi, can do the next
What?
one.
How many dihiyot you can dahay? I mean, possible to
2 days.
dahay
2 days.
2 days.
You can do it up to 2 days. Why? Because if you have a Molad Zaken and the next day is Aleph Dal Vav,
2 days.
it knocks out. Or if you have Batu Takbat, you're going to automatically push it till when? Right? No, it's going to Tuesday. Batu Takbat is going to Tuesday. Sorry. Gatrad will go to Thursday.
It could be 3 tahiyot.
You want one more?
Yes.
Rabbi, it could be 3 tahiyot.
Because either way you have either bad.
You want one more?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do one more and then I want to go back. I'll do some review today. It's going to be a pshuta. What's going to be the molad? What are you going to add?
4, 8, 6, 76.
Tatu, what is it?
317, 371.
Rosh Hashanah.
Where's that?
Thursday.
3, it's Tuesday.
Thursday.
It's after the thing.
No, it's Chet is You got Yud Zayin.
Yes.
Oh, got it.
370.
So here you have a gatrad in a pshuta. So what happens? It goes to Hamishi. Why? Gatrad.
Because you can't do Wednesday either.
Okay, by the way, you'll notice why the most infrequent day we have Rosh Hashanah is Tuesday. Even though it can happen, it's the most infrequent day. Why?
You only have a
Because
9-hour window.
Shabbat gets a dihiyah from Friday. Right? Shabbat gets a dihiyah from Friday. Monday gets a dihiyah from Sunday. So if the molad is either on Friday or Shabbat, Rosh Hashanah's on Shabbat. If the molad is Sunday or Monday, it's on Monday. If the molad's on Tuesday, it's on Tuesday only if it's under Gatrad and a Pshuta.
Right. Oh, it's very narrow.
Now, if it's on Wednesday, right, or Thursday, it stays on Thursday, unless the only exception to that is the Batutak on a Monday on a Milbit. So, your point, if you want to know, this guy has a very interesting theory. If you're into mathematics and it doesn't really affect the beginning to make a calendar of how to assess the probabilities of when Rosh Hashanah will fall. This is just an intellectual exercise. If you want, he's got a whole chapter on
168 hours, you have wedges.
right, and he figures out exactly. You know, he has the whole.
So highest odds are Thursday. Basically.
No, Shabbat.
Really? But you have the.
Read the book. We're not going to go into it, but if you want,
In this year,
yeah, I don't want to get into
Can you
that now.
explain why it's Gatrad again?
Anytime the molad on a Shana Pshuta falls after Gimel, 9th hour, Resh Dalet Halakim, we push off Rosh Hashanah.
After and on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay?
Thursday.
And the reason is until that night. And the
Not
reason
Wednesday,
is,
not Wednesday.
right, and the reason is because if we did it, the following year, you know what? Let's go one more and I'll show you why. Taf, Resh, Sameh, Het. When is that going to be?
It's a Mobere.
It's going to be a what?
Mobere.
No bad. Okay, how am I going to find them all that?
Add 4876.
Good, what is it?
1, 2, 167.
What?
1, 2, 167. Aleph, Bet. 167.
Right. Aleph, Bet.
Kuf Samech Zayin.
When is the Rosh Hashanah? Yom Sheni. Now, if I didn't push this off, what would it have been? It would have been Tuesday, right?
Right, you don't have Vegas.
5 days.
How many days in between Tuesday and Monday?
5.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
have
Sunday.
bacon.
5 days.
You don't have Vegas.
I don't have 5 days on a pshuta. Can't do that. So in order to avoid that, I made this hamishi. This is okay. And this will be okay. And this is now going to be what type of a year from hamishi to sheni? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What's it going to be?
Kisidra.
Kisidra on a pshuta. You see why we had to do that
It's
gata.
no better, but no.
Well, the year before.
Wait,
The year
wait.
before was
From here to here.
Shuta. That's
Wait.
This year.
This, the Pshuta year will be Kesidra,
Yeah,
right?
I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about the Molad the next. I'm talking about Rosh Hashanah next
Actually,
year.
Samach Zayin.
Right? That's dependent on another. We didn't do that yet. We're not going to do it anymore. Okay. All right.
See that?
Okay. So you have a lot. You really have a lot. I want to do a little quick review of some of the stuff, and then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to admit today, guys, we're going to do some stuff new. We're not going to do a whole lot. I'm going to take some time to review a little bit. I'm going to go ahead a little bit today. I want to,
Rabbi,
yeah.
if, the year with the Tuesday, if it was Me'obed, it would be on Tuesday, the Molad, right?
Gatrat is only a dehayan of pshuta. Gatrat is not a dehayan and a me'uberet. Okay? Again, I'm going to go over the dehayot. I'm going to explain. Okay. Let's go backwards. Okay? We started this whole thing with the assumption that what? The key number that we started at the beginning was? Yes, that is, but then I'm talking about another one. Katyab Tashsan. What is that?
Cycle.
That's the
mean
lunar cycle. The mean lunar cycle. It's not an actual lunar cycle. It's a mean lunar cycle that this is the normal time that it takes the moon to make its total rotation around the Earth and to get back to where it was vis-a-vis the sun and the Earth, not vis-a-vis just the Earth. Therefore, I told you last time, the cycle is a 390 degree circle or 85 or
Well,
86.
the 90 is because it's 1 clock hour.
Right.
Extra 30 degrees out of a
Now,
12-month
I'm
cycle.
assuming it's a little less than 390. I'm assuming the moon, the sun travels around the Earth 1 degree a day. It doesn't, because then it would take 360. It takes about 365 and change, so it travels a little bit less than a degree a day, so then it's not exactly 390. But let's assume it's a degree a day, so it needs another, in that 27 and a half days that the moon made that cycle, it moved about 27 and a half degrees. The moon needs some more time to catch up. The sun is still moving. It's about 390. Okay? So that is Katyab Tashsag. Okay? That is the amount of the lunar cycle. That led us to another number. And that was an important number. Ib Tashsag. Which is what's called the Yitaron. Which is the amount of days that one molad. This is a cycle between what we call between molad and molad.
Time from week to,
Right. This is between molad and molad. By the way, what is molad? Remember what is molad?
Conjunction.
Conjunction. Molad is the time where the moon and the sun are so aligned that we see nothing. Okay? That we see nothing. Okay? It is the time that we make molad, how we figure Rosh Chodesh. It is not how they figured Rosh Chodesh in the times of the Beit HaMikdash. I say that because I recently read an article by a well-noted scholar trying to dispute some of the points and showing how late it was by showing ancient moon calculations and ancient new moons but the bottom line is we don't figure out new moon today, but in the times of Beit HaMikdash that's exactly what they figured out.
So it would be a little later.
It would be later.
When you first start to see the first sliver.
Exactly.
They
So
still
it could
use
be,
the same number, it's just that it's shifted to whenever
exactly.
the moon is. It's just
Right. But I'm just trying to say that
point zero is a different
ancient
point
calculations may not fit with this because they were looking for a different time for Rosh Hashanah.
Why, when they set the calendar, are they looking for when you see nothing?
Good question. Right? The point is, mathematically, right, you can start this at any point. Right? You can start a cycle and Rambam says you could start a cycle at any point because it's a cycle. I can make Rosh Chodesh or Rosh Chodesh full moon, right, and go from there. It's all a circle.
Right, so why don't I just start it like a day later or something, and then I'll see the
Because
first one.
it's very hard to quantify new moon, right? It's a little hard to quantify new moon. The easiest point to quantify is that no moon, and so therefore we use this system. Just okay, and it's pretty close to new moon. Hours sometimes. So Mahlukat Rashi and Rambam, how much after Molad that would be visible, right? Rashi and Roshana Dafkaf is a very difficult shita, which allows it for 6 hours based on his interpretation of the Gemara. Baal HaMaor explains that Gemara in a different way because Rashi is forced to say that the moon will be visible 6 hours after Molad. It just doesn't exist anywhere. There's a noted today religious astronomer, I showed you his books before, and he tries to show how in some place in the earth, somewhere,
North latitude, in the
some,
winter.
or actually in a certain western areas, it might be visible. It's a little difficult to assume that. Harambam writes it's the formula is more like 18 hours, where it will begin to be visible after Molad. Okay, but that's what we have. This Ib Tashsad is the Yitaron, the amount that the one Molad to the next moves along in the week. Okay? So again, we're taking out all multiples of 7 because they're irrelevant. And we throw them out. Okay? Now you've seen how important this number is already because we've used it to make other numbers and we've used it to make all of these other numbers to figure out Molad. Right? This is crucial. If you forget everything else, you remember this, you can get all those numbers, you throw them back. As I showed you in your first homework, you wrote this chart, partially, just with this number. So, you can get all those numbers from here. Okay. We get another number. That was our first Molad that never existed, but we figure from that Molad. That was the Molad in the year prior, 1 year prior to the creation of Adam HaRishon, and prior to the creation of the moon. It's a theoretical Molad which we use as the beginning of all Moladot.
And where did that number come from?
Well, the number came from, we have from a tradition that Vav Yud Daled was the first Molad of Tishri on the day that Adam HaRishon was created.
What do you mean we have a tradition?
That's just it.
Is there anyone who tries to explain how they got beat?
Look it up. This is it. And that's based on the Rishonim disagree, based on the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer that the world was created in Tishri. If you follow Rabbi Yoshua, it's a little different. And it backs us in if you subtract Dahtatu from that.
Or you do the Ahor.
Or you add the Ahor of Dahtatu to that, either one. You'll get this. And this becomes where we begin every Molad. This number you have to know.
That's a month before that?
This is
3
a
days
year
before.
before this.
So you're saying
whole
that-
year back?
Good question. We go a whole year back because we have the rule, and the Hakamim have the rule, that Yom Echad B'Shana Hashuv Shana. So since we need to start at Tishri. So since there was days before this Molad, and there was a moon before this Molad, and the moon wasn't created in Molad form. The moon was created at, let's say, a few days before. So we now want the first Molad of Tishri. This isn't. So we go back a year to this one, and it's called Bahrat. And that's where we begin.
So now, according to this Vav, Yom Vav at Yod Daled, that was when Adam HaRishon was created?
That was when the moon was in conjunction on the day that Adam HaRishon was
And
created.
the day it was created, and so you're saying that Friday is Aleph Tishri.
No, Yes, that Friday was Aleph Tishri. There goes Lo Adu, right? First one.
Calculated.
Right. Yeah. Right, because the world was created on Kaf Het
Didn't you just celebrate on Shabbat?
Okay. So that brought us to Baghdad. That was the first molad. When we want to add moladot, okay, just one or two other numbers. Dah, Tat'u was the yitaron from year to year in a pshuta, and Hacha Takpat was the yitaron from year to year on a me'ubere. Okay? Good? We're good? Okay. Alright. If I want to find a molad, right? I want to find the molad, so I could do it this way. I could add Tat'u for every non-shana me'uberet, Hacha Takpat for every shana me'uberet, and Ib Tashsak for every month. What I gave you, I hope you still have them, is charts of Yiturim from that would enable you to find, using Baghdad, find any year's molad, and you have the Yiturim from month to month, Yiturim from year to year in a 19-year cycle, Yituronot from for every mahzor up to 10, and then from 10 to 400. Okay? 400 mahzorim gives you 7,600 years, and hopefully we won't need that many. Hopefully we'll have much less than that. And we'll stop with this, all of these things, and I'm sure you'll be very happy to throw this out, and just let the Bet Din worry about it. Okay. What will I do? I don't know. I'll still teach it anyway.
Wait,
What do you think they mean?
But in the part of the Betin, when they were based on Adim, but the Adim came like 2 days late, and then they had
Good.
a whole push all 3 days.
D.A. in the time, this is what I said.
Doesn't matter.
Harambam, I told you that we are doing a mitzvah. Aside of learning Torah, we're doing a mitzvah. Ushmartem v'asitem ki hi achmatchem u'binatem l'nami. We're doing a mitzvah taseh Torah in addition to learning Torah. And that's how most Israel. Harambam says we're not. Harambam says we're doing too easy. This is easy. Harambam says what you just said was the real mitzvah. As I mentioned to you, Harambam writes about 7 to 8 lengthy, difficult, almost impossible chapters of ancient Greek astronomy, Ptolemaic astronomy, figuring out exactly, not the mean conjunction, but actual moon cycle for any month ever.
So that's what we're doing next class.
It took me a long time, and I probably forgot it. I spent about 6 months with someone every week just trying to fit, and he went through it.
I think Raymond Arking also went through it.
Oh yeah?
I believe he did.
Yeah.
So I did my best. I understood it then. Can I redo it now with you? I think another 6 months I need. It's very, very highly complex. Highly, highly complex with multiple figures. And you really need physics. And you really need mathematics. And you really need a lot of you need a lot of certain things to understand what's going on there. Even with, we wouldn't do it that way anymore because we have a different structure and we understand the moon cycle differently. Although he got to the right point, we probably get different, but it's still complicated. Even with all modern day astronomy, it's still complicated. Because I asked people, no, it's still pretty complicated, and it's still not perfect. Everything that we know. When you read a little astronomy books, you get humility. Because we still don't know a lot. We really don't know a lot. Just digress for a minute. There's a noted astronomer. And his name, some people like it, some people don't like it. His name is Brian Greene. He's a string theorist. So some people like string theory, some people don't like string theory.
What's string?
I won't get into that. He said something interesting. You know, there's a theory of the expanding universe. Today there's a debate. Is the universe expanding or is it infinite altogether? But those who hold of an expanding universe, he said something very interesting. He said, by definition, the universe is expanding. Well, what does that mean? That means that evidence of the universe is escaping us. So, in 30,000 years from now, if somebody was out there, or maybe 500,000 years from now, if the universe is expanding, many of what we see now out there will be gone. You won't be able to see it. Even with their greatest telescopes that they can dream, they won't see it. They just won't see it. They may not even see our solar systems at some point. They may not even see any more planets anymore. Maybe gone. And they'll look with all of their 10 times more, 1,000 times more advanced machinery than we have, and they won't see it. What will they think? It's not there. But we wrote about it. Okay. Well, should we listen to the ancients, which will be us, or should we listen to what we see? They were dreaming. But we told them that the universe is expanding, and that they're not going to see it. They're going to think we're crazy. They're going to trust their more refined knowledge, their more advanced knowledge. In fact, they'll be wrong. What he basically said is knowledge, if it's is escaping us. What he basically said is, what we always don't think, is that even in Mad'a, there'll be a Yeridat HaDorot. In other words, what we always say is that we advance scientifically and we go down to not always. We may be losing knowledge at some point. You get humble when you start understanding what we don't know and what we can't do. I think scientists, I was going to say physicians, but he's going to yell at me, but everyone. We get, and I only say because he tells me this more than ever, that physicians are sometimes the most biggest egomaniacs on earth. We need humility. We need a nava to approach knowledge. Somebody once asked me, I once said, a really good intelligent quotient is what you know divided by what you think you know. And this is really a humbling experience. Okay, enough for my Umussar. Back to, all right, now there was some confusion on this. There was some confusion on a few other points. This is important, how we announce Molad and how we classify it in time-wise. Simple. Every time, all of the numbers that we mean, just to translate it. If I wanted to take a Molad and translate it to our time, and I'll just do this. Aleph, Bet, Taf, Resh, Mem, Zayin. What does that mean? So, every time-wise, every Molad goes from 6 to 6 in the day. 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. I don't care when sunset was. So, this Molad, when did it happen? It happened at Saturday night, 7, well, it's 2. 8. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, a little bit out of it. 8. Now, I'm going to just estimate that this was around 8:40. You can probably get a little bit more, 8:40, because the Tadmas Halakim, it's 647 out of 180. I'm going to assume that's about 40 minutes or 38 minutes. Let's assume 38 minutes. I could be wrong off a minute. That's when it is. If I got that Molad, it makes no difference if we're in the summer and sunset was at 9 o'clock. That Rosh Hashanah is not on Shabbat. It's on
Sunday.
it'll be on Sunday and then Monday. Okay? So it's important to understand what the language means. Why do we do from 6 to 6? There's no nafkamina. It's just easier to term things that way. It's just it's the way we say it. We don't want to start shifting based on shki'ah, whatever it is. Anyway, it wouldn't have been on Shabbat anyway, because once it's past noon, it gets pushed off anyway. So that's that because of Molad Zakeh. Right? So that's an important point to understand in terms of how we know. These are the notations that we make. Okay? I'm not going to go over the checks. Just remember we had 2 checks to check a Molad, Hotag and Boged. Right? Those are important, and you can find many ways to double check your molad. You could use these. You can figure it out in different ways, and there are multiple ways. It's important to check your molad because, as you saw, even a few minutes can alter a lot. Can change your whole calendar. Okay? As you remember, I mentioned one thing. The only molad that affects Rosh Hashanah is the molad of Tishrei. The other moladot have practically no halakhic relevance. There are different customs in this community. I don't know why they make Hafrazat HaChodesh Chodesh and they don't announce the molad. I don't know why. In most communities in the world they do. They do. What? Well, okay. And there is one significance, and this is my opinion, and this is definitely the way I read the Rishonim. This is the way Maran says it, and this is clear, although there are some Harim debate. There is one relevance to the Mulad of every month, and that is Birkat Levana. There is a mahloket Maran and Rama. Maran, now this halakha will be so clear to you. How I can only make the Mulad, I can only make Birkat Levana until full moon. Right? So if I started a Mulad, how much time do I have to get to full moon?
14.75 days.
So you would tell me, correct, half of Katyab.
It's a little more.
What?
Why would it be
It's
a
really a
little
little
less?
more because the moon is moving away from this. Well, the moon is moving in a longer cycle than 29/12.
Well, let's assume this
Then
is the
what you're
cycle,
saying is
because it's
be
the
a
mean
full
cycle.
moon.
If this is a perfect cycle, you'll tell me half.
How much more was it a month?
Right. So that's the opinion of the Rama. The Rama says you go half of Katyab Taseb, which by the way would be what? 14, 18, right? 29 and a half divided by 2 is what? Is 14 3/4, correct? Mm-hmm. Right? And then half of Tashsag, which would be, it's around 4. It's about,
397.
what?
397.
397. Okay? So it's a little under 6 hours, less than 15 days. Maran says, you figure the last Mulad, I give you 15 whole days and stop bothering me. Why? Because anyway, this is an average mean cycle. The actual cycle can be off a little bit anyway. It's a couple of hours, leave it alone. More often than not, it's not really relevant. It won't affect anything. I'm going to give you a mean 15 days from the last Mulad. However, what seems to be clear from the Rishonim and from both Maran and from Rama is that what's the starting point here? The Mulad. You already saw. Many people just figure out from Rosh Chodesh. You already saw they can be a day or 2 off. You already saw that the Mulad and the Rosh Chodesh can be a day and a half away. But then it's relevant to the later ones. And because it's 29-30. So in 2 months from there, it might also be off. If you were to have 2 months, so then in 2 months from now, you had 29 and 30, and you had the Mulad going two 29 and a half, it's pretty much vis-a-vis Rosh Chodesh where it was Rosh Hashanah.
Your whole day off.
So you count from Rosh Chodesh that month. You might be making a beracha on a waxing on